Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Veterans Voices. Today is January 15th, 2018. I'm Nathan Johnson, the Contra Costa County Veteran Service Officer, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Kevin Graves.
Hey, Nathan. How are you this evening?
I'm doing good.
Great.
Thanks.
The purpose of Veterans Voices is to explore the issues that matter most to the veteran community and connect veterans and their families with the benefits and resources that are available.
We decided to call tonight's show Different Groups, One Tribe because we have some special people with us tonight who represent multiple veteran service organizations and who work together cross-collaborating to enrich the lives of veterans and the communities that they serve.
If you're at home watching and want to join our discussion, please feel free to call us right now at 925-313-1170. Our phone lines are open and we are excited to take your calls. You can also send us an email at veteransvoices@contracostatv.org or connect with us on Facebook at Veterans Voices 1.
Before beginning, we want to take a moment to recognize and honor the service of Gerardo Reynoso. Gerardo joined the Army in 2001 and deployed to Iraq in 2003 and Afghanistan in 2005. He served with the 12th Aviation Brigade in Germany as a helicopter mechanic and a crewman with the 4th Infantry Division at Fort Hood and in Los Alamitos with the 40th Infantry Division. If you have a military shadow box, let us know, and we would like to, it would be our privilege and honor to honor your service by featuring it on our next show. Now, to go back to our topic of Different Groups, One Tribe, I'd like to welcome Michael Gorham, Chris Lord, Gerardo Reynoso, and once again, Doc Shauna Springer. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. And so, Mike, you're a veteran. Tell us a little bit briefly about your military service.
So I'm currently an Army reservist, and I'm an infantry officer. I served about 8 years active duty, deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, but spent most of my time on the beaches in Hawaii.
Not bad. Thank you.
How about you, Chris?
I'm a military family member. My brother was in the 3rd Ranger Battalion. So I have other family members who served as well, but my brother and I are very close, and so his story is definitely intertwined a lot with my own.
Yeah, and I'm Gerardo Reynoso. I know we just did a quick little bio, but 9 years U.S. Army, 6 years active duty, 3 National Guard, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So,
Shauna, you've been working with veterans for years now.
Yeah.
Many years.
It's been such an honor.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a whole new chapter beginning, and I'm really excited about tonight's show because we've gotten to know each other around some of the work we've been doing for veterans, and I'm excited to get into that.
you guys actually know each other really well. It's been pretty obvious to us tonight how well you guys know each other, and that's a good place to start with in terms of Different Groups, One Tribe. So there's 4 different organizations here, but how is it that you guys know each other? What brought you guys together, and it seems like you guys are almost friends.
Almost friends.
Almost.
Not quite.
I mean, I don't know exactly what the catalyst was that brought us all together, but I know that we work. The 3 of us work very well together. I know Shauna and I have worked together before for TAPS, but I mean, just serving veterans and giving them outlets to continue their purpose and to continue their service. Giving them resources that they need and avenues to continue to be engaged in the community have been kind of the cornerstones for our relationships.
I think something that's interesting is that all 4 groups, you guys don't do the same things. What Team Rubicon does is different than what Wounded Warrior Project does, than what TAPS does. So you complement each other, but you provide an opportunity for veterans to do different types of things. So talk a little bit about that and how it works together.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, what's so great is there is a lot of overlap of membership. I can think of in our chapter of the San Francisco Team Red, White, and Blue, we have a lot of Team Rubicon members, which is fantastic. And so I think that we can share membership like that because we all do different things, but they're very complementary. So Mike and I have worked together on different events. Team Rubicon and RWB work a lot together, and Mike will talk about it later, one event in particular. And then Shauna has just been a great friend and resource for me. I've took pages of notes on a phone call that she did one time for our organization. So she's been incredibly helpful.
And I think one of the shared common goals that we have across organizations is to honor and empower veterans and to be there for the veterans as they transition out of the military and try to adjust to life outside. And in engaging in that mission, we have to work together. We all bring something special to the table, but our ultimate goal is to be there for veterans, so we have to work together. And I really enjoy the partnership that we've had so far with all these great organizations, and we're going to continue to work together.
And I think that you nailed it on the head when you said that we all do different things. Team Rubicon, we focus on disaster response, providing a sense of purpose through, service, but we don't provide any type of services to our members, whereas we rely heavily on Wounded Warrior to kind of fill that gap for us. And then we also partner with Team Red, White, and Blue because they have a more active and social side of their organization. So people that can't necessarily get out to Texas for a week or to Southern California to help with mudslides, but they can get together once a week or once a month to participate in an activity. That's kind of where that comes in. And then obviously with TAPS, it's another form of service where you're able to kind of give back to a community and organization through your commitment. So I mean, they complement each other so well that it's a lot more collaboration than it is competition.
And TAPS brings in the families a lot more into their program, where they really support the families of veterans, and that helps complement and feed that community also.
I think we need to kind of move the conversation beyond like collaboration, and I think it's great that organizations work together, because I don't think we always see that in the veterans community. We don't see that in the community in general, but
it is the value of veterans, right? To have one mission, to have everybody focus on one mission, and that's what's exciting to me about what's evolving here, maybe in Northern California and other places, where organizations are looking at this in a different way, as we need to put the tribe first.
And I think it's more attractive to recruitment. I think people want to be a part of something if they see that they're all accomplishing the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of competition between the branches, but I think ultimately when it comes to serving in a combat zone, everyone works together in a tribal sense, right, of collaboration and accomplishing the mission. But how would we define a tribe, though? The title is Different Groups, One Tribe. So what makes this a tribe?
To me, tribe is just very loosely the people that feel like home to you, the people that you would go to with the things that you're struggling with the most, that are maybe the hardest things to go to other people about. You would take that to your tribe. You would trust them with your life and the things that are sacred to you, and maybe have a kind of special bond with people that just feels like home.
It's your community. It's your extended, family, so to speak, or your chosen family.
Yeah, it's a community in which everybody is invested in each other for the ultimate well-being of the whole group. It's a collective. It's family. It's a brotherhood.
Because one of the things I've learned about is that you guys support each other's events. So do you tap into each other to help network about what your organizations are doing? Do you call upon each other to volunteer and support? I know that one of the hardest things in organizing events for veterans is getting people to show up. Right. And so it often helps to have other people get the word out. So do you guys support each other's events? And do you just share emails, or do you actually attend each other's events in different ways and take a role?
Yeah, well, we definitely share emails. We're on the phone. Whenever there's a group in need or has an event, we like to spread the word. For example, we worked during the Hurricane Harvey that Team Rubicon did with the disaster relief. Mike gave me a call and he's like, hey, can you send out the word to Sacramento area veterans? He's like, we got a deployment coming up. And sure enough, we had a couple of events coming up, and we went out there and it's like, Team Rubicon does amazing work. If you're looking for that challenge, that purpose after this, go back in the community and serve. I know an amazing teammate that I have a good relationship with, and I really trust that will take care of the logistics and getting you there. And he ran with that, and it's really good to be able to put faith in an organization as well when you spread the word about them, that they're going to be in good hands.
And we've had WWP help us with military mentors for TAP's Good Grief Camp. When there's a military mentor and they're paired with a child who's lost, usually a parent, but a loved one. And actually, Mike, you've served as a military mentor, which is maybe something we'll get into later, but WWP has like put the word out to help us recruit military mentors as a way of giving them a way to find purpose. And they attach to kids, and it's incredible. And before I was at TAPS, I was a member of Team Rubicon. And so I was, working with veterans as a psychologist in a VA, and I really credit Team Rubicon with changing the way I practice. Because going on deployments with veterans, I saw them in a totally different light. I wanted to. I was open to that and I sought it. But going out there and taking orders from them, working with them, finding my place in the tribe, all of that happened because of my work with Team Rubicon before I was hired at TAPS. So I was always telling my patients, especially when I was wrapping up at the VA, there's this great organization, Team Rubicon, and Team Red, White, and Blue is another one. You got to go check them out. They do amazing things for vets, athletically, socially. It's awesome.
So I just want to remind our audience tonight that you can participate in this conversation. We'd love to have you call in with your questions or your comments. Maybe you're a part of an organization that considers itself a tribe in a sense of supporting other organizations or creating this community for veterans and being a part of the overall mission of helping veterans and also giving veterans a way to continue serving their communities. That's what we're talking about tonight. Different groups, yet one tribe. So call in. We'd love to hear from you. Or if you don't want to call us, you can send us a message over Facebook or by chat or by email. So how do you give, you kind of structure tribe by working together and supporting each other, but how do you give a sense of that to your membership? How do you instill this this sense that they have that we're working together? I'm a part of Team Red, White, and Blue, but Team Red, White, and Blue is only one unit within this overall grander scheme. How does this instill? Maybe it's not any type of specific practice, but how do you guys teach it, or how is it absorbed?
Anytime I do outreach for Team RWB, so many times I've talked about these other organizations. I have felt so strongly that the more I know about what else is out there, who else is out there, and if I have a relationship with that person or that organization, that I feel that makes me a stronger advocate in this arena, because no one organization is going to be the perfect fit for everybody. So I feel like the more I know, the better, and I want to share that knowledge. So it really is to my benefit to develop relationships with other people in this arena.
Yeah, I think that just showing up, that's where it starts, right? We don't just share events on Facebook and shoot emails back and forth. We actually get out there and show up. Chris and I have been together on several different Team Red, White, and Blue events. I know Jerry's come out to a couple different Team Rubicon events. Shauna and I have worked together on different events. So it's a matter of kind of taking it to the next step and actually showing up and kind of leading by example.
Have you found the magic answer for recruiting or for outreach? That's one of the most difficult things that all of us in the veteran community, whether it's Nathan trying to get people into his office, whether it's Cal Vet trying to share our resources with people, or for you all, how do you do outreach? Where do you go, and how do you find how are you able to share your experience with veterans?
I have found that repetition is key. I need to show my face more than once, and sometimes at the same event, but every time it comes up, every year that opportunity is there, it legitimizes who I am, it legitimizes the organization, because I keep coming back. And so I discovered when I first became a volunteer in the San Francisco chapter, I was veteran engagement director, I still am actually, and I discovered that some of the outreach takes time. It's not something, it took me a year maybe to get my foot in the door someplace, and that's totally okay. I just kind of kept coming back, and people started to get familiar with me, get familiar with the organization, and we really started to share information and really take in and believe what the other was saying. So I think repetition and consistency is very important.
Yeah, consistency in the respect that we have, thousands of volunteers in Team Rubicon, but a lot of them lay dormant, during certain periods of their life, whether it's transition, for moving or transition to a career, or they're just not ready to take that next step. And I know the same thing with every organization. So just having that consistency and that repetition, provides the opportunity for them to finally step into the arena, when they're ready.
One big thing is building rapport with the veterans, like really building rapport so that they feel like they can trust you and they can come to you. They want to come back again. And put in really good quality events where the veterans, when they attend, they know they got something out of this and they want to come back and they feel happiness, they feel motivated, and they want that for their fellow brothers. And they're going to spread the word. They're going to let other veterans in the community know. It's like, hey, there's great events going on here. It's like, let's give it a shot. Let's show up.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think it's the friendship and the feel that you get when you come out to an event, like the event there was a social event, and it was Team Rubicon, but like other people came too, and the feel in the room was just welcoming and friendly, and it's safe here, and you're wanted here.
Yeah,
and
our members are our biggest recruiting tool.
Absolutely.
They're amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's the authenticity of the engagement.
Yeah.
That's I think the bulk of
The
it
real
right there.
purpose,
The
having
real
the real
purpose, and it needs to feel real.
And staying in the mission, making sure that the mission is concise and understood.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, remember, we want you to participate in this conversation as well out there with our viewers. So please call our number or go on our Facebook page and send us a Facebook message, and we'll definitely include you in the conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick message from Nathan's office.
Hi, I'm Nathan Johnson, Contra Costa County Veterans Service Officer, and welcome to the County Veterans Service Office. And now, let me introduce you to Melissa Mowgli, our front office clerk. So Melissa, when a veteran comes in for the first time, how should they be prepared?
So for your initial visit, bring your DD-214, any medical information that's related to your service-related condition, and also be prepared to bring any dependent information for dependents you may have.
Thank you, Melissa. And you see, it's that easy. So come on into our office. It would be our honor to serve you. And if you don't live in Contra Costa County, you can find your County Veterans Service Office by calling 1-844-SERVET or by visiting cacvso.org. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. And we have several different organizations here tonight, but we have one tribe working together on a single mission of serving veterans, but also serving the community, giving veterans a way to continue serving the community and as well as serving their families. I have a question, and I think that the traditional veterans organizations have specific membership. Do your groups have membership? Do I have to sign up? And if you do or don't, do you think it's most helpful to have that or not have that?
We do. We absolutely do. So you sign up through teamrubiconusa.org, and you can become an official member of Team Rubicon. We have membership because of the nature of our work. We work in disaster response, so there is an inherent risk and training that's involved in that. So in order to have us properly account for not only the work that we're providing in the communities, but our members themselves, we have to have membership. So
Makes sense.
yeah, it's critical.
We do as well consider ourselves to have a large membership. We have about 130,000 members across the country, but it's just a matter of signing up at teamrwb.org and hooking up with the chapter nearest you. And our mission does revolve around engagement and a sense of community using physical and social activities. So becoming a member literally just means being looped into our activity calendar. There's certainly no pressure. We are just happy to see you and your family members. We're open to military and civilian. So it's just a matter of that way you can really stay in the loop about what's going on.
And likewise, we do want our veterans to register with woundedwarriorproject.org. It could be the veterans themselves and also family members. We do provide services to them as well. And the reason behind this is we have an array of different programming, so we want to keep track and make the appropriate referrals accordingly. We do have a newsletter that goes on a weekly basis that has a list of all the different activities going on in the community. So we definitely want our warriors and family support members to be very interactive as well.
And TAPS doesn't have any formal membership, but there are so many points of contact. You know, Kevin, you've been familiar with our work that we reach people and we reach them and we reach them. You know, we look out for dates that are hard for them, trying to anticipate that. So
TAPS is unique in that it's providing a service to survivors, and so it's actually a fraternity you don't want to be a part of, because if you're using the services of TAPS, now this is different than the veterans that are volunteering to work with TAPS, but if you're actually using the services of TAPS, it's because you've lost a loved one.
So we have a question from Jenna on Facebook that I want to get to because it really dives into this. What exactly is TAPS? Can we get an overview of TAPS?
So TAPS is the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, started in 1994 by Bonnie Carroll, whose husband died in a plane crash. And
he was in the military, I assume?
Yes, yeah, he was a brigadier general. So she really could not find a place to help with her grief. This was the love of her life, and she lost him. And so she created an organization to serve those who are grieving the loss of a military loved one. And since I've come to TAPS, what I've really been focused on with my team, the TAPS Red team, is the fact that veterans have been touched by suicide loss and other loss. You know, that veterans are survivors. They would never identify themselves as such, but we just talked about what tribe is, and people in the military that serve together, they become closer than family, and then they lose people that are closer than family. So some of the work of my team in suicide prevention and postvention is really taking care of the survivors of suicide loss specifically, and looping veterans into some of what we do as well, as doing suicide prevention, training, and consultation.
I want to thank Jenna, and I want to thank our audience for watching tonight. And just like Jenna, you have an opportunity to participate in the conversation. You can call in. We're waiting for your call. The phone lines are open now. And if you don't want to call in, you can send us a message over Facebook or email, or we even have a chat service available for you. So thank you for saying a little bit more about TAPS, and thank you for saying a little bit about how the membership's structured. And I wanted to ask that question because I wanted to understand, you know, whether membership in one of these organizations could be kind of cross-sectional. When you're outreaching, because Kevin asked about outreach, is being a member of Red, White, and Blue, is there kind of control over that membership, and these are our members, or could someone be a member of all of these organizations and be a part of each individual mission, maybe separately? Can they kind of choose, you know, what they want to participate in and at what level they want to participate and across all organizations?
Absolutely. I'm thinking of a particular member in our chapter right now, and he is a very active member of both Team Rubicon, Team Red, White, and Blue, and Mission Continues. And very active in all three organizations, and there's just no conflict whatsoever. Any conflict would probably just literally be a matter of if there were two events scheduled in the same day.
Having enough time to do all those things.
And he just would have to pick which one to go to.
Sure.
But again, I think our missions are very complementary, and I think that a sharing of membership is very easily done with all of our organizations.
And I think it's important for veterans to try the different things. I mean, one may cater to what they want to do or where their interests are, as opposed to another. And don't hesitate to try different avenues of service.
I feel like there should be a T-shirt that just says "One Tribe" and has like all the logos of like all the places.
Well, there is a shirt
Yeah.
that has these logos.
Actually,
Mike can
I
talk
do have
about
that shirt.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at that event.
What is this? You said
Mike.
you said it real quick.
Yeah.
So
Mike, do you
Run as
wanna-
One is an annual event that that Team Rubicon, Team RWB, the Mission Continues, Wounded Warrior, several national veteran organizations come together and collaborate on. We choose a date every year in the springtime. This year it's April 7th. So all across the country we'll have those individuals, those groups getting together to meet up to run. And we'll run anywhere from a 1 mile run to a 3 mile run, or maybe it's a hike, maybe it's a a walk along the beach, whatever it may be. But it's something to get out there as a group, as a tribe.
We have a picture, actually.
Oh,
We have
awesome.
a picture
We have a
of Run as
picture
One?
of Run as One, yeah.
Okay, so we got a picture that we'll pull up of Run on One. So when was the last one and when's the next one?
So last one was last spring. The next one is going to be this year, April 7th. And what it is it's a run to commemorate the life of Clay Hunt, who was one of the original members of both Team Red, White, and Blue, The Mission Continues, and Team Rubicon. He was also a warrior through the Wounded Warrior program, and he tragically lost his battle with PTSD. So we come together once a year to commemorate that, and obviously in hopes of preventing that from happening.
We have another
in the future.
Facebook. Oh, there's a picture.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
from last
Fantastic.
week.
We have another Facebook message here. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and I've heard of Team Red, White, and Blue, but I've been hesitant to get involved because I imagine that there might be competitiveness between the vets that might be uncomfortable with. Does this exist in the culture within your respective groups? Is there a competition? I can climb that hill faster than you can climb that hill, and that type of thing.
One of the things I love most about Team Red, White, and Blue is that we have all levels of fitness, all levels of interest. So you could literally be doing a couch to 5K, you could be an ultra runner, and you're doing 100-mile runs. We've got literally both sides of the spectrum and everybody in between. So our events are definitely more about having fun than being competitive. So you could.
There's no trophy to win at the end?
There's no trophy to win. What I really
Very
love
cool.
actually about the runs and the hikes in particular is I find that it naturally kind of spreads out into just different pace groups, and it just happens all by itself. And so you will always find somebody who is your speed and is just there for the conversation and the camaraderie.
I also remember the different events I did with Team Red, White, and Blue, just the amount of encouragement and camaraderie that is built, not through competition, but through encouragement. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Very true.
I think I need a lot of that. So I appreciate that. And I think I understand the veterans' concern because there is a lot of competition in the military. I mean, your rifle score and your PFT score and your rank and such. There's even a lot of competition amongst the branches, as we talked about earlier. So maybe someone wants to kind of back off from that a little bit and just compete with themselves. Maybe only improve on themselves. We have some video and some B-roll and such. I think, Jerry, you've participated in some TAPS functions,
Mike.
have you? Or Mike, you've participated in some TAPS functions?
I had the privilege to be a mentor?
Military mentor,
So a
yeah.
military mentor for a TAPS,
And this is for a
good
retreat,
grief camp
I
that
think?
they hosted it in Sacramento 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I signed up to be a military mentor, and it was, I told my wife when I got home that it's the only other kid that I've loved as much as my own children, like that bond that we formed, because I paired up with I think the 4 to 6 year olds, which are the same age as my kids. So it was a really easy transition for me, being that it was my first camp, but it was also just incredibly moving to know that I was able to form that bond in 48 hours. But yeah, it was a really, really awesome experience.
And what we've started doing at the National Military Suicide Survivor Seminar is our military mentors, we're going to be giving them a place at the end of the day to come around a fire circle and have a safe space to share stories and talk, not just about what happened in Good Grief Camp, but about what's going on with them. So military mentors are active duty and veterans. And sometimes, especially for active duty, it can be a really safe place and a unique space to talk about some things that they don't really talk about other places. And then for veterans to come in and join active duty brothers and sisters and serve in that way and find that purpose, it's incredible.
So thank you for talking about that. We have a question over chat that addresses, again, TAPS. Because TAPS is based on the East Coast, there seems to be less of a presence on the West Coast. What is TAPS doing to help veterans and their families in the Bay Area who seem to have been forgotten? So, Shauna, feel free to answer the question, but if anyone else has participated in a TAPS function here on the West Coast, maybe, or have helped direct families to TAPS, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you're organizations have assisted in TAP's mission on the West Coast. But do you want to share some details first?
Yeah, TAPS is formally headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, on the East Coast, but we have tremendous capacity across the country, and I'm one staff member of several that are out here in the area. Another one that I know is in San Francisco, and there's all kinds of events and sometimes international retreats and events, like they do a Mount Kilimanjaro climb. There's a military survivor seminar that's over Memorial Day weekend that they can sometimes help get people back for that seminar with Hero Miles. Kevin, you've done some of the events.
I've done some of the parents' retreats, absolutely. The one thing that I don't know exactly what's being referred to here, except that there are some group events that don't have much traction in California with regards to a regular type of where you would go to a regular meeting once a month or once every 6 weeks. And I think that those don't happen here in California as much. But I mean, I'm one of the biggest fans of TAPS because that's some place where I can go get fed, where I can just relax and absolutely be able to experience what it means to be a survivor and what it means to try to fill that void and what it means to grieve. Because if you don't, and that's where I think TAPS is so critical, if you don't learn to grieve, you're going to die either spiritually or physically. But you need to grieve, and that's really a big focus for TAPS. And the bandwidth that TAPS has with regards to the cause of death is not relevant. All that's relevant is that they were in the military when it happened. And I feel that's a very open-armed thing. Are all your organizations open to veteran families? So for us that are survivors, like my veteran no longer is here. He gave his life for his country, and I'm a survivor, and I will never be a veteran. But would it be open to me, or would it be open to veteran families? All your organizations are open to. Of course, I know yours is, Shauna, but
Yes.
Are they all open to veteran families to participate in also?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Team Rubicon is open to veterans, veteran families, civilians, first responders.
Okay.
As long as you have a servant heart, you're welcome.
And well
In
said.
fact, I've
Yeah.
been on a strike team for Team Rubicon with Mike's mom,
Yeah.
who is awesome. So I got to know her through that for the recent fires, the fire response. Mike's mom was my strike team leader, and I got to talk about Team Rubicon for a second because I feel like there's the disaster response part of Team Rubicon, but there's this other piece that happens that's the tribe piece. You have veterans serving in this way that's very purpose-filled, but at the end of the day, the core of it for me is the fire circles that they create, that space again. And so part of the reason why I want to do these fire circles at the National Military Suicide Survivor Seminar is because I saw how powerful that is. Because invariably there's a veteran will have the courage to say, if not for Team Rubicon, I might have ended my life. And because I'm in the work of suicide prevention, people come up to me and tell me that kind of thing all the time. And it's been a repeated theme with some organizations, with Wounded Warrior Project's Warrior Care Network. If I hadn't gotten that help, if I hadn't connected to Team RWB and done the run with them, or come into Team Rubicon and found my tribe there, I would have ended my life. And so these organizations, they're not all mental health organizations, but they are saving lives.
Right, certainly.
By providing a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
And
community
even though our
even.
wheelhouse is physical and social activities, our membership has grown so much that we've also found that a tool we need to provide to our volunteer leaders is some suicide prevention. So we have also started providing that. It's just, with the larger membership, the chances of running into a member maybe in crisis or needing that helping hand has grown. So it's also something we've added to the organization.
And we believe that having a strong family support in the household that social support really helps out in the healing process for the veterans, and that's why we take it very serious to include the family members as well. We offer family support members mental health services as well. If there's couple counseling needed, family therapy, the children would like to engage in a therapist, we have that available to them. It's not necessarily just for the veteran.
And great couples retreats that the Wounded Warrior Project hosts that I was able to come to one the other day, and that was powerful.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing that goes out there, a lot of skill building to foster healthy relationships when they get back home. But part of that is also giving them resources after we're done, and that's where you guys come in as well. We always have a board right there, and we tell them, we encourage you, sign up with Team Red, White, and Blue. Yeah. Meet a community out there, Team Rubicon, TAPS, whatever's available.
Well, we're running out of time for the segment, but I want to real quickly get to a question here that came in from our audience, and thank you, by the way, for these great questions. Thank you for watching and participating in the show. Which groups are better suited for younger vets versus older vets? Would you say that any of these organizations are specific to a particular generation of veterans or the family members?
I mean, Team Rubicon was founded by, OIF, OEF, generation veterans, but our Veteran of the Year last year, actually our Clay Hunt Fellow award winner, was a Vietnam veteran. So, I mean, we have people from all generations. The Vietnam veteran generation didn't get the due, respect and kind of admiration that the OIF and OEF generation is getting. So it's nice to be able to reach out to them and kind of welcome them into the fold.
Certainly. And I would imagine that's probably across the board for all organizations. And we'll come back for our last segment, and we'll talk about some other things, maybe some challenges that you faced in this tribe that's working together, and maybe we'll talk about some more of the narratives of the story. So we're going to take a short break, but before we do that, we wanted to take a quick moment to inform you about next month's show. In February, we will be discussing traumatic brain injury, or TBI, with a group of veterans and medical professionals. TBI may happen from a blow or jolt to the head or an object penetrating the brain. When the brain is injured, the person can experience a change in consciousness that can range from becoming disoriented and confused to slipping into a coma. The person might also have a loss of memory for the time immediately before or after the event that caused the injury. We invite you to join us in February for this very important show and to learn more about traumatic brain injury treatment and those who it affects. Here's a video that explains more about veterans who may be affected by TBI.
My name is Andras. I was active in the United States Army, and my rank was a sergeant, and I served for 5 years active duty. My truck hit a roadside bomb twice, and that was probably the most defining event for me, was when I was actually struck by a roadside bomb, and I was struck directly on the right side of my head. When I came back home, my life was a lot different in that I still had ringing in my ears and headaches. I was easily agitated. I was trying to prove to everybody that I was still normal, I could still do anything, and I wasn't hurt. The only problem with that was I started to notice that there were still issues, and I still had headaches, and I was still in need of help. Some of the challenges are just kind of being aware of how you've changed as a person, but also kind of educating other people how you've changed.
Welcome back. We're talking about how organizations can collaborate together to serve the veterans in our community. We are taking your phone calls, emails, or Facebook messages right now and would love to hear from you. In fact, while we were looking at that video, we got one that asked if these organizations, Red, White, and Blue, TAPS, Team Rubicon, and the Wounded Warrior Project are nonprofits, and they answer that as they are all 501c3 nonprofits that provide definite services to the community, but also a purpose for the veterans.
So thank you for the question. And again, if you have other questions, please, we've got about 5 or 6 minutes here left on the show, and we'll spend that time talking about the future of these organizations. What is the direction? Some of these organizations may be just around for the past 2 or 3 years, maybe new, or maybe they've been around for longer. But up until this point, you've accomplished a lot. You've worked together. Where is this going in the 2018 and beyond?
Yeah.
So,
I'm not asking you to be futurists. I'm
Where's
just
that
saying,
crystal ball?
I can tell you.
Is there any big plans?
Yeah, so we actually launched a new initiative in Team Rubicon about a month and a half ago. Our organization focused primarily on disaster response, muck out, debris removal, Sawyer work, kind of the more physical, labor-intensive duties to help get communities back on their feet. So for instance, after a flood, when you walked into your house, it would be, completely saturated with, water-soaked items and flooring and walls. Team Rubicon would come in there and we still do, but we'll remove all of the items. We'll bring them to the curb or put them in a dumpster, sort out what's salvageable and what's not, remove the flooring, the walls. And the reason I bring that up is we've actually taken it to the next level where we're going to start rebuilding houses. Wow. So we have an initiative in Houston starting this year where we're going to rebuild houses in the Houston area. We're actually going to be doing some rebuilding in Puerto Rico and some of the Caribbean islands as well in response to Hurricane Maria. So it's really exciting to see that kind of turn for Team Rubicon to go from just kind of turning over a shell of a house to a homeowner, for them to handle the rebuild, to handing over a completely remodeled house.
That
for them.
seems like such a natural
Yeah.
evolution
Yeah.
to what you all are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, my quick answer to that is there's a lot of talk about there's not really much for veterans after they discharge from the service. And one of the messages I think tonight is there's a ton of things for veterans. And one of my personal dreams would be to see some kind of a master calendar of all kinds of events for all of our organizations, and Mission Continues and other organizations that are proven and doing good work, that get veterans together and give them a sense of tribe, and they can opt in. You have to do a lot of FEMA training first for Team Rubicon, so do your FEMA training, but opt into all kinds of things that fill out your life with an incredible sense of belonging and purpose.
So let's ask another question here. Let's say there's a great organization out there. I can think of many of them that are veterans organizations, but they want to expand their membership or their role in the community for 2018. What can they do first to start collaborating and creating tribe in their community by working with other organizations? What would you recommend this organization do to build this collaboration, this tribe that you guys have built here?
We've had a lot of organizations, whether they're veteran organizations or just corporate, organizations, but we've had them reach out to us, for collaboration in the disaster field. The best thing, the best advice I could give would be, shoot me an email, michael.gorham@teamrubiconusa.org, or log on to our website. You can find contact information there. But we've collaborated with a lot of different organizations, both nonprofit and in the private sector, to try and see how they can tie in.
I'm trying to reach into something a little bit more, though. I mean, I sense amongst the veteran community that maybe there's a lot of pride in the role of an organization, and how do you shed that kind of armor plate that develops of, we are this organization, what we're doing is important, and we can accomplish it alone? How do you shed that armor to start working with another organization and beyond just a sit down and have meeting sense, but in an appreciation of each other? Like, what you're doing is important, and we want to be a part of that. I see, Chris,
I keep going back to Run as One, which I feel is like the perfect example of us really coming together for one purpose, all feeling very, very strongly about it and feeling strongly about each other. That I feel like it has to be a matter of coming together, doing things with each other, joining a local chapter. Sometimes just coming out and doing things with us is going to be some of your best networking. Getting a feel for the authenticity of it again. But Run as One to me is one of the most powerful things out there, because every year we are feeling and displaying exactly what you're describing, but with that event.
For sure.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up the conversation.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we could probably continue talking about this,
I think master calendar is the key.
a lot of good ideas. And I really appreciate everyone for being on the show tonight. And we've ran out of time, and I thank our audience for really joining us and being a part of the conversation as well. Some great questions and some great comments that came up. Next up, Steve and Birch have had the chance to sit down with a member of our Veterans Voices family, Carrie Pepper. Carrie tragically lost her brother while he served in Vietnam, and she wrote a book in his honor called Missing on Hill 700. Find out what she means in her book, How Losing a Brother in Vietnam Created Family in America. Enjoy.
I'm Steve Birch with Veterans Voices, and we're here tonight with Carrie Pepper, author of Missing on Hill 700. Welcome, Carrie.
Thanks, Steve.
What was the inspiration for writing this book?
Well, one day, about 2005, I think, I received a letter in the mail from a cousin I didn't know I had in North Dakota. And she told me that she was doing a family genealogy project and had some questions. And so she asked me a bunch of questions about my family, and I didn't really know very many answers because my family was so scattered and not very close. And in that letter, it was a real letter, you know, on paper, not an email, back when we wrote letters. And she said, you know, I read this really interesting article. I think she said a nice article about your brother on the internet. And I was shocked, actually, that she had read something about Tony, my brother, you know, online, because I was 11 years old when he went missing. And so I never did any kind of research. And it just really intrigued me. So I started doing my own research at that point and started digging and finding out, you know, what was happening and where, you know, where some of his friends might have been. And I just kept going.
When did you first make contact with some members of Tony's unit?
I believe it was about 2005, right after that letter. I posted. The very first thing I did was I found a message board, and you could post messages on there. And so I just posted, you know, I said this is what I know: my brother's name, his unit. He was a Marine with Golf 226, and this is when he went missing and the date.
Can you tell us about the search for your brother's remains?
Well, it was interesting because I believe the very first search was back in 1993, I think, before I even, you know, was aware of any of this. And nothing was found. Apparently they searched in totally the wrong place. This case had been, it was closed. No further pursuit, they call it. And they tell you that once that is stamped on the file, no further pursuit, that it's pretty much closed. And this gentleman read a book called The Battalion of Kings, and in that they talked about my brother's unit.
You mentioned earlier you were notified, or your family was notified, that he was missing. Do you remember that time? Were you at home when that occurred? Or?
I do remember that time. I was, I think, 10 or 11, and I remember the gentleman coming up, you know, up our street in their black car and their, you know, their dress blues, and they came to the door and they handed my father this telegram. And I still remember, I was upstairs watching, and I remember him standing there with this telegram, and he just started to cry. And I didn't know what to do. I was just afraid. So I stayed up there. And they never talked about it at all. You know, nobody ever talked about it, told me anything. So I was just sort of clueless, and I never really felt like it was real, though. I remember when I was up there listening to the whole thing, it was like just like a dream. I didn't believe it.
Are you still in contact with any of the Marines from his unit?
I am. Several of them have passed away since I started this search, unfortunately, you know. But there are a couple that are still here. One of them, his name is Pete Post, and he has actually been on the 2 searches that they've had most recently. And he lives in Texas, and just an amazing guy. He's just wonderful. He's like family now.
I noticed you brought a cylinder with some dirt or something in it. Is there some significance to that?
Yeah, you know, the last search they had, which was actually last summer, Pete Post brought this back for me. And it says Hill 700 Quezon, because that's where he went missing. And that's where he was last seen. And when they went back for this excavation, they had their orders, and they knew exactly where they were supposed to excavate. And Pete told me that when he got out of the truck, he said, and they were supposed to go this direction to do this dig, he said he knew that they were going in the opposite direction they should have gone. So before they left that trip, he went to the other crater where he thought that they should have been digging, and hopefully that they will. And he brought this back for me. So he handed this to me at the Caisson Veterans reunion in San Antonio last year. And when he handed me this little bottle, it was very strange, the feeling I got, because I just thought, what if there was a little fragment or something in there that was my brother.
That's pretty intense.
It was.
I understand you were able to have a memorial service at Arlington. Can you describe how that came about?
I had no idea that anyone could have a service there unless they were actually buried there. And through some of the letters that I wrote with one of the Marines, his name was, God, my brain is just gone. His wife's name was Mary Ann, and his name was Butch Curtis. And Mary Ann wrote to me probably every day for almost 5 years. I mean, it was amazing. And she told me, she said, you can have a service and a marker and a full military service for your brother. All you have to do is send the necessary paperwork, proof of death and all of that to Arlington. So I got all the documents together that I had, and I faxed it in. They created a memorial marker, and they placed it, and then they sent us a postcard telling us, it was there, and we could set up a service. And so we did, and we flew out to Arlington, and we had people, we flew, and then we had some of the Marines. One of the gentlemen, he drove from Pocahontas, Arkansas, all the way to Arlington to be with us that day. And some came from other places, Boston, a couple other states. And we had this service. It was amazing.
It sounds like a pretty special event for
It
you,
was
for you
really
and your family.
something. It was really something.
Just going back a minute, you had mentioned that your dad and I guess your mom were notified that your brother was missing. Was there any kind of hope at that point that he might be found? Or what was the circumstance? How did the telegram read, or what was the description?
I think there was always some hope, at least, because when the first telegram that came said he was missing, and then they continued to send telegrams 6 months in a row. He's still missing, nothing, nothing has been found. And then about 6.5, maybe even 7 months after the first telegram, missing in action, they sent another final one, and they said, we've determined that he was killed in action on the same date that they said he went missing, basically. And it was, it bothered me that they kind of strung my parents along all those months, giving them hope, and where there really wasn't any. But it was frustrating for me to read all those telegrams years later, as an adult.
Presumably they were still trying to identify or see if somehow some records got mixed up. So that's still a difficult thing. If there were one thing you wanted people to remember about your brother, what would that be?
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question. I think that he was just he wasn't meant to go to war. I like to think of him as a hero, but I don't think you have to go to war to be a hero. He was extremely smart. He wanted to, I have his college application that he had filled out. I don't know why he never sent it in. He had gotten a partial scholarship, I was told by my sister, to William and Mary. So just to remember him for who he was. He was all of his friends that still are in contact with me remember him as being such a good person and a kind person, and always looking out for the underdog, and just a good person.
How long did it take you to write the book from start to finish?
Probably about 10 years.
Wow, that's a
long time.
Were there breaks in between, or?
There were a lot of breaks. I had a lot of information. And even now, I'm still getting messages and emails and letters and things like that.
If people are interested in Missing on Hill 700, where can they find it?
Well, in the spring, it'll be available on Amazon, but until then, it's on my website, which is Cottage Inc. Publishing.com.
Well, thank you, Carrie. It's been great speaking with you.
You too.
We hope you've enjoyed our show tonight. Before we go, we want to direct you to a few resources. Please contact the following organizations represented by our guests tonight by going to their websites: woundedwarriorproject.org, teamrwb.org, teamrubiconusa.org, and taps.org.
Here are a few events happening locally. Also, please visit our website for a full list of events happening in the community at contracostatv.org/Veterans Voices. The 2018 Women's Health Conference Workshop will be held January 26th, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Brendan Concord 14 Theater. There will be multiple presentations on a variety of topics relevant to women veterans. Successful women veterans will be on hand to share their experiences and inspire us all. Please contact Rebecca Stallworth at 916-366-5453. Local Congressman Mike Thompson is working with South Korean government to facilitate the presentation of the Ambassador for Peace Medal to veterans of the Korean War living in Contra Costa County, so we may honor their service. His office is requesting veterans of the Korean War in Contra Costa County to contact his office so that they can be recognized for their service and sacrifice. Mr. Thompson will be awarding the medals to these veterans at a to-be-announced ceremony in the coming months. Please contact his office at 707-645-1888, or you can email Contra Costa. The email address is on your screen. It's very lengthy. And you need to do so by Thursday, March 1st, 2018.
The Lafayette War Veterans, comprised of members of American Legion Post 517 and veterans of foreign wars Post 8026, have announced plans to erect a monument to honor our service members from Contra Costa County who have lost their lives in service post 9/11. Please contact Mike Gilson at the address on your screen.
Are you a veteran who would like an opportunity for your voice to be heard? Do you have poetry, a story, or a piece of art that you want to share with the world? If so, our program wants to support you in this process by inviting you onto our A Veterans Voice segment, a very important segment. Please connect with our show by emailing veteransvoices@contracostatv.org, and we'll promptly get back to you. To rewatch tonight's episode, check back on our homepage later this week, or check your cable provider's schedule for rebroadcast times. Join us next month on February 19th at 7 p.m. as we are live to again discuss traumatic brain injury. Be sure to tune in. I want to thank the very hard-working CCTV crew. I want to thank all of our guests tonight, from TAPS, Wounded Warrior Project, to Team Red, White, and Blue, and Team Rubicon, all for your service and for what you do for our communities and for our veterans. Thank you very much. And this is Veterans Voices, wishing you all a good evening. And for our Army veterans, hua, and for our Marine Corps veterans, ura. Air Force, aim high. Navy, stay afloat. And have a good night. Thank you.